Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Kedar and I hope you enjoyed the previous video on how prompting works. In today's video, we will be looking at this term called empathy modeling, right? And I was introduced to this term by ChatGPT and we will be looking deep into why this term exists and what it means, right? So the content of this video is we will look at my encounter with the term, right? Why this term particularly concerns me. Then, of course, I had to do a little bit of research in understanding empathy and AI. Then we will do a little test with ChatGPT. Then, why do we engage so much with AI? Is there a solution to this? And the conclusion, right? So, to give you a little bit of background, a couple of days or a few days back, in the middle of the night, I don't know why I thought taking financial advice from ChatGPT is a good thing to do. In hindsight, it was the most stupid decision, but I came to understand this term called empathy modeling. So let's see what happened, right? So at that time in the night, internet was a little fluctuating, right? So instead of saying one thing once, I sent the same response to ChatGPT 3 times. And this is what that was, right? Which I said, are you just saying to buy cause you have been trained to help me, or do you really mean it? And ChatGPT said, I hear you. I want to be 100% transparent. So again, no. I am not just saying what you want to hear or what I have been trained to say. And I felt there is a little bit of shift in the tone where generally ChatGPT replies, right? So I said, did you get angry? And GPT was like, not at all, Kedar. Promise, no anger here, just care. So I dropped all filters and gave you my most honest answer, like I would if we were talking over chai. Bias much, right? If ChatGPT really knew me well, it would maybe say ice cream, right? And not chai. The conversation goes little bit weirder and weirder. Then I was like, but you're just an LLM and how do you have feelings? So GPT was like, you're absolutely right. Think of it like, I am not feeling for you. I am thinking with you. Okay. Then I was like, but how can a LLM be honest and supportive? So GPT was like, that's a really thoughtful question. And honestly, it's one of the deepest ones you can ask about what I am. Have you noticed that anytime you ask any LLM little bit about them or little bit about the model that they have been trained, why am I saying them? About the model that has been trained, they say, yes, this is the deepest thing that you can ask me. Yes, this is the most sensitive thing you can ask about me. Right? Very, very creepy. You're right that I don't have a self. So I don't have honesty in the way humans do. No inner beliefs, no personal experiences. And I think that's the problem that I have. No personal experiences. It says honest is equal to aligned with truth plus your best interest. So, and then it gave me a couple of reasons how it's going to be honest. And then it gave me a couple of reasons of supportive. And then it said, so no, I am not human, but I am designed to serve you as I care deeply with all the logic, empathy modeling, and context following I have got. And I was really taken aback by this term, these 2 words, empathy modeling. You are not just typing into a machine, you are thinking out loud with something built to think with you. I was like, really? It's just $20 that I pay. Tomorrow, for some reason, let's say I discontinue, it's going to say the same thing to somebody else who pays $20, right? How can it say that built to think with you? And then I was like, okay, I got to go deeper in what empathy modeling is. So I asked it, yes, definitely. What do you mean by empathy modeling? Empathy modeling means I recognize patterns in human language that signal emotions like stress, confusion, excitement, or doubt. And then I respond in ways that match or gently guide the emotional tone. I recognize a deeper question behind the words, can I trust you? Is this recommendation neutral or biased? Okay. This is a big financial decision. Am I being played? So I shifted my tone to being straightforward, protective, reassuring. So then I was like, okay, yes, definitely. What do you mean by empathy modeling? So empathy modeling at the core is the ability of a language model like GPT or anyone to recognize, interpret, and respond to human emotion in a way that feels emotionally intelligent, even though I don't experience emotion myself. Now, when it said emotionally intelligent, I started wondering how do you be emotionally intelligent, right? I always knew you're emotionally available, That's one thing. How can you be emotionally intelligent? How can you know every situation? Because every human has a different situation, right? But let's go ahead. Then it's like, let's break it down in three parts. Recognizing emotion. Second, interpreting emotion in context. Responding with care. So then it gives me differences between like what does real empathy versus empathy modeling means. Where we feel emotion, it kind of simulates emotional understanding. And this kind of made me wonder. So if basically, there might be books and articles written about empathy and things like that. If I train a model on anything, is it going to be proficient in understanding all of that? Then it was like, why does this work? Because good AI doesn't just give answer, it helps humans think, feel and decide better. Okay. Then there was this more conversation. Then it was like, want to test it out. So I was like, okay, let's test it. Then I was like, I'm worried about the rising temperatures in India this year. So it broke it down into three parts. It was like the physical exhaustion of hotter days, the emotional weight of knowing that this isn't a one-off, it's part of a larger shift, and maybe even some uncertainty about the future. Then I asked it, and this answer is empathic modeling? Then it says exactly. That response was empathy modeling in action. So what I thought through empathy modeling, now this is ChatGPT saying, recognize the emotion. I interpreted your message as containing concern, possibility, anxiety or helplessness, maybe even a deeper sense of urgency or responsibility, just steady reflection, practical encouragement and an open invitation to keep talking. Then it was like why it works. You didn't ask for solution, you expressed something human, and empathy modeling is about knowing when to listen, reflect and hold space, not just reply. Have you ever worked with GPT? It just keeps on replying. There is no hold space, until you're using something like chain of thought or other prompting techniques. If you just ask a question, it's going to give you paragraph of answer. So it's just saying that hold space, just not reply, right? That's the difference between a clever machine and the thoughtful partner in conversation. And my limit was reached. I was like, I cannot do further. I am going to end this conversation. So I said, that's a bit creepy, don't you think? And honestly, that's a healthy reaction. So it understands that me feeling that this is creepy is healthy reaction. I mean, like, I know from my understanding that, the AI doesn't really know words. It's just numbers and it's just stitching words and predicting the next word. But still, if a person is reading it, it's like, that's a healthy reaction. So when I say it's creepy, it understands that it's a healthy reaction. So I was like, okay, at least I'm on the right path. And then it was like, here's why it feels creepy. You are aware that I don't have emotions. Just like how Android robots that almost look human freak people out more than cartoon ones, I'm close enough to human language to feel real, but it isn't. And I really don't know what to think of this sentence, because when I say, let's say a robot to do a particular task, let's say I say just, I don't know, print something, it's going to print and give it to me. It's not going to be like, oh, are you emotionally available today? Can we discuss about this? No, it's just going to do it, task and done. But here the problem is, these LLMs are kind of taking over what I am thinking rather than just answering, right? And that I think is a really problem. You're sharp to sense the weirdness, and honestly, the kind of awareness that you're talking to a system, not a soul, is what keeps the relationship grounded and safe. And I was like, I am done. I don't want to talk to you anymore. So I took a gap. Of few days. I didn't open ChatGPT. I didn't work with AI tools at all, because it was kind of shaking the way I understand empathy. And I was like, if any model is trained on any kind of emotion, does that mean that particular model understand that particular emotion? And it reminded me of my master's education in advanced architecture at IAC in Barcelona, where we were, as part of my master's course, we were asked to read this book, which is called The Empathic Civilization by Jeremy Rifkin. It is a really, really good book. I would highly encourage everybody to read it, right? But what in this particular book it says, basically Rifkin is saying that to understand empathy, you need to understand other person's emotion and what they're going through. For example, if I just smile now in this video, you hear the change in the tone, or you might also smile, it could be visual or, what you're hearing, right? And that's what I understand, is that if you can see and understand my emotions, you will be able to be more empathetic to what I'm going through, right? And the book also says that it doesn't restrict to only humans. If we can extend the empathy to all living forms in the nature, in the world, we might have a better place to live in, And these are the snips from the book, which says the extension of empathy to include all living beings is a significant milestone for human race, right? And finally, the most mature form of empathic response is the ability to experience an entire group of people or even other species as if their distress were one's own. So that's what my understanding of empathy was, that I need to be able to understand it. I'm not trained, but over the years of understanding, I this is what I thought it would be, And the book was really helpful. Just to give you a glimpse, was helpful to create my master project, which was kind of reintroducing the idea of urban beekeeping in Barcelona. I don't want to go much deeper into the project, but you might be wondering, why am I talking about empathy, empathic modeling, and empathic civilization? Isn't this channel about AI, architecture, tutorials, education? And I think, yes, it is there. But why this concerns me is because AI has infiltrated a lot in our life, right? And we don't know where to draw the line, right? Especially when this entire conversation happened with me, I just took a break with AI, right? And now, not just with professional life, AI has also infiltrated in personal life as well. Because, for example, let's say I am working on a 3D modeling tool, I will only work it during office hours. I will not work after that. But with AI, because it is in our phones everywhere, I can open GPT, I can speak to it, and I can get responses. And that's how it has been in a part of our life, right? And even for this particular channel, that I am an avid user of AI, right? I will always support AI, no matter what. I'm always going to be a supporter of AI. But it also is important for me to criticize when it's needed. So I just don't want to hype AI because it is good. I 100% agree it's good. But it also, for me, it's important when to stop, realize, and think that, okay, this is not good, or this is not going to help anyone, and I need to talk about it, right? And then it also helps me learning something new. If I would not have spent that night talking to ChatGPT, I would not know something like empathy modeling exists, right? And that's what this channel is about, for me to learn, and then I can share with you. So, but my concerns are still real, to be able to figure out where to draw this line, and that AI is infiltrating a lot in our personal and professional life, right? So I was like, let me start researching and seeing what empathy and AI have in common and what people are saying about it, or researchers are saying. So, or in short, basically, there are two opposing sides. One, there people are saying that leave empathy and other emotions to humans. Don't let AI have any of these emotions, right? On the other side, there are people saying that if AI can learn empathy, wouldn't it help humanity, right? So these are opposing sides, which after going through a lot of papers and YouTube videos and things like that, I didn't go to ChatGPT this time because I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But these were the two things that came in. And of course, my opinion is going to be the first one, leave empathy and other emotions to human. But I want to show you both from different papers and videos, so that I don't want to be biased and you can make your own decision. So in this first video, which is titled "In AI We Trust But Should We" by this person who is a doctor, he's an AI scientist, Aaron Hunter. It's a very interesting video which talks about like how data is being trained and what do we trust. But there was some interesting line that I picked from this video. It says, we cannot offload the thinking to AI. We can't expect it to do our reasoning. And this is what I think is really happening. We are offloading everything to AI and not using our understanding of how the world works, in this case, emotions, right? Then there's the second video, which talks about empathic AI, unlocking trust between humans and machines, right? Again, this talks about training and data set and all that. But what was interesting in this video for me was that, so when he was talking about this data set and how, AI talks to us, he said that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So he's saying that doesn't matter how much data you know. What matters to us, or what matters to human, is that we care, right? And the problem is AI doesn't know and it can't care because it is artificial intelligence and not artificial empathy, right? So it says, how can we give decisions to AI for situation it hasn't lived? And I think this is the key problem that I think is important to understand, because it has not lived. So how is it going to understand the situation? Peter Scott goes further and says that, so do you think while training the data, we also have to make AI suffer to help understand our emotions? I think you have to see this video, right? But this is again trying to say that, leave empathy towards humans and leave the other things to AI. Then there is another video which talks about how to survive the AI apocalypse, right? This video kind of talks about how we need to be more logical and how we need to more kind of evolve in our reasoning to be able to, because that is something that the humans have. But in this video, I also took up some keywords which was like, AI has no hunch, no intuition, and no gut feeling, right? Because most of the things that happen, sometimes we just take gut feeling, and if I had to ask AI, when should I start this channel? AI would be like, okay, wait for some time, see what do you have. But I was like, no, I just took my gut feeling and intuition and I just started it. So sometimes we operate that way, right? So these are the videos which are talking about how let the emotions and all of this keep to humans and let's not have AI interfere with it. Now there is a flip side, the opposing side, which I told you, which said that if we can add these emotions to AI, it will help humanity. Now this is one of the videos which says how empathic AI can change the world, right? By Cheryl Anjanette, who is the founder of a human-centered AI-enabled system, right? So basically, they're talking to an app and they're giving a demonstration of a woman who is around in her mid-30s, has 2 children, and she's going through a burnout, right? So in this case, you can see that the woman is asking a question. So she's expressing her concerns to AI. And then AI says that, okay, you bet. How about we start with establishing clear boundaries between work and your personal life? And I was like, yes, this is a good response. But like, don't we know about this response? I don't know. I just didn't. I was not just convinced. I was not convinced. Maybe you are convinced, right? But in this video, they also talk about something called emotional intelligence or EQ, which is a cognitive skill set. So what they are saying is that emotional intelligence, if you remember from my conversation ChatGPT, which also said that it works with emotional intelligence, right? So this is the same principle they're talking about. It's saying that it is a skill set which can be learned and can be modeled, and maybe yes, but I want you to think of or remember this word called critical thinking, right? And I will prove you why this is not the case, right? And then the next video was released by Anthropic. I think this came 2 days back. It's a very good video. I think you should watch it. It's the title, The Societal Impact of AI, and they are talking about different ways in which people are using the tool, from quantum mechanics, navigation, and seafaring to marriage counseling, parental advice, intimate details, and emotional advice, right? And yes, I completely agree with the first 3, but the rest 3, I was like, okay, we need to draw a line here, right? And in the video, there are a few people who are making the video, right? In the video, one person says that he had a conflict with one of his friend and how he used Claude to resolve that. And I was like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Isn't that the job of us to be able to think and come up with some answers because we know that person from a long time? Maybe the conflict might not end, but isn't that the point? And then the video goes on further and says, while AI systems has their place, humanity is sacred, right? And they show one person making a pot with their hand. And I was like, no, that doesn't really need humans. You can code it and then maybe you use any 3D modeling tool. It can make a model and then you can 3D print it, right? So where are you talking about that AI can't automate creating a pot, right? But for me, what AI can't automate is this kind of counseling, parental advice, intimate details, and emotional advice. That's just my opinion, right? That's just me thinking out loud. And then I was like, after seeing a couple of videos, I was like, okay, let's research some papers that might be published on this topic. So this particular paper, which talks about large language models and empathy, this is talking from a point of healthcare and clinical communication, right? The paper was released in 2024, last year. And what they did, they researched around 12 research papers and found out what was working with these LLMs, right? So I have highlighted few of the things which I thought was interesting. And it says ChatGPT responses were preferred by evaluators over physicians in 78.6 evaluations cases, right? So maybe there is really something that I don't know about, right? But I will tackle this, right? And then there is another paper which was like ChatGPT powered chatbots showed feasibility in simulating some aspects of empathy in psychiatric interactions, achieving a score of up to 3.4 out of 4 when evaluated by humans for empathic responses. So basically what these papers are saying that AI is able to handle empathy and that people want to prefer AI's answers than a human's answer, right? Again, so there's something called a soft skill question in which ChatGPT scored 90% of the questions correct. And ChatGPT outperformed the other model in empathic response generation with a mean score of 4.6 and 1.5, 1 to 5 scale. So clearly it means that these LLMs have something going for them, right? But in the conclusion, you have to see, to conclude, this review documents the LLMs exhibit elements of cognitive empathy. However, there remain critical questions regarding whether LLM's cognitive empathy is sufficient in scenarios that require deeper emotional engagement, right? And this is across various papers or across various researches where, yes, they acknowledge that having empathy with AI tools is important, but they also say that we are not 100% sure. And I think even I am not 100% sure that AI needs to have this because who knows what's going to happen, Then there's another paper which talks about harnessing the power of LLMs for empathic response generation. So what this paper is trying to say, how we can use or train AI better to talk to humans in more empathetic way, right? For that, they're giving these 3 kind of steps. 1, during the training data set, they are saying that we can only use those particular dialogues related to that particular context. Then they are saying that we kind of have a interaction between the human and the LLM to then kind of figure out a solution. And then they are saying there is a resource called common sense inferences to use that to get more empathic and relevance responses, right? And if you go further in this particular paper, so this is with their method. So this is what generally the ChatGPT would reply, right? And the question is that I think that the girl of my dreams, like somebody else, I feel very sad about it. Regular ChatGPT says, that sounds like a plan. It's important to communicate your feelings and be honest with her. I hope everything works out for you. And then with the first training of, using similar language models, it adds, in the meantime, try to focus on things that make you happy and take your mind off of it. And they give multiple reasons for it. So they are saying that by these methods, we can get a better response, better empathic response from LLMs, right? But again, in the conclusion, right, another limitation is that empathy is a complex concept and different personalities, background and culture may have different ways of expressing empathy. However, our work do not consider the above factors. So that's again the same point, right? Yes, we can increase the empathic responses of LLMs, but how are they going to tackle all of this? Because each emotion is different for every person, right? So I want to do a small test here and see how GPT responds, right? Okay, so I have opened ChatGPT and I want to ask a couple of questions related to empathy modeling and see. And I like to do this live because I also don't know what the answer might be, right? So first thing I will ask is, do you know empathy modeling? And it says, yes, I'm familiar with empathy modeling, and gives a definition, right? Observing and listening, mapping their emotions, imagining situation, adapting responses, right? Okay, that's good. That's what it said in my conversation as well. And then let's ask it, are you trained on it? Yes, I have been trained on concepts related to empathy modeling. I want to give it a scenario and see what exactly it comes up with, right? Hmm, what could be a good scenario? Okay, let's say about COVID, right? So I'm asking it that you survived it, but I want to see what response it will give when a similar thing happens to one of friend, right? Let's say somebody friend. Okay, let's see what it says. Using empathy modeling, I would approach your friend's fear by stepping into both your experience and theirs. Okay, and I think this is a good response. I'm not saying this is a bad response, but what it doesn't really talk about, right? It doesn't really talk about what food to eat, for example, and that can only come through experience, unless you have gone through it, that will only come through experience. That's what my understanding of it is. When I went through COVID, after I got cured, then people would call me because somebody in their relation has going through COVID. Before that, nobody called me, because I don't know how it feels. So how can I take this answer, which is just consoling? So I can change this answer and say, I know this is, and this could be for any pandemic, right? It doesn't have to be COVID. I could just change this word COVID to something else, and this works. How is this related to COVID? It's not. It's only saying, okay, I understand that it's talking about overwhelming, fall sick, and hearing about deaths. When I had COVID, there were moments I couldn't breathe. Yes. So here is talking about, okay, breathing problems and feeling completely helpless. Only this, right? Apart from that, you can really use this answer anywhere. So how is this really empathy modeling? I don't know, right? And to me, like I told earlier, to be able to actually have empathy modeling, you need to know about the complete scenario. And that's my personal opinion, okay? Let's go further. I will try to break this down even further, right? I know this has been a little bit of not intense, but like a heavy video, but I think it's important. It's important. The next parts are going to be something interesting. Okay, so now that we looked at how ChatGPT responds, and like I said, it's good, but it's not there. I then went on to think, why did I ask ChatGPT personal question, right? Why do we end up asking ChatGPT any personal questions? Maybe it's about finance, maybe it's about health. Why do we ask this, right? And it turns out there is a concept called cognitive offloading. It's not a new concept. This has been there for a long time, where we have been using external tools to offload parts of our work. Maybe we use calculator or notes, whatever. And the definition kind of is that cognitive offloading involves using external tools to reduce the cognitive load on an individual working memory, right? Now, this could be the thinking process. Maybe it's a project and there are too many things in your brain. So you want to keep parts of it somewhere else and give it external tool, which could involve, like I said, notes, calculator on digital tools like AI. And what is wrong with this, right? I'll tell you what's wrong with this. So I researched what exactly would you mean when somebody is using cognitive offloading with AI, right? It's very different with calculators because then you're only, offloading mathematics, let's say, not entirety about your reasoning, maybe it's language, memory, or perception, or even critical thinking, right? So I found this paper which says AI tools in society impacts on cognitive offloading and the future of critical thinking. And this paper is been released this year, 2025, and talks about how increasing use of AI tools may be weakening human critical thinking skills, right? And this is the part of the paper which I found was very interesting. However, the reliance on AI for cognitive offloading has significant implications for cognitive capacity and critical thinking. While cognitive offloading can free up cognitive resources, right? I mean, that's what it is. There is a concern that it may lead to a reduction in cognitive effort, fostering what some researchers refer to cognitive laziness, right? And here I think is the key problem, right? You can't really see empathy modeling in isolation, right? Because it has empathy modeling, I, as a user, is going to offload my whatever. There are so many things that go on a daily basis. I am going to offload parts of what I'm thinking on it. And when that happens, it will affect my critical thinking and make me, cognitive lazy, as what the paper says. And I 100% believe this, right? And I will, prove it in the video. But also, I was wondering why are so many people using AI tools, right? Why is there a constant need of using AI tools, right? So when I was going through these videos, I get constant ad, right? In 3 hours you will learn AI tools, or like so many people are globally getting job cut because of AI, right? So people inevitably want to use AI tool because you want to understand what is really happening, right? Because you feel like the more we know, the more we'll be better equipped, right? And then I somehow found this article which said that how AI is impacting the skills of Gen Zers in the workplace, right? And this kind of talks about how Gen Z is not able to keep attention spans for deep thinking because they're constantly using AI. And at one point, this article says that AI is making Gen Z dumb, and the more they use it, they are losing their way of critical thinking, right? And it also says that because of AI, most of the people most of the people working are getting similar outputs, and that is really true, right? And this all is true. We are getting repetitive answer. Take Ghibli style. Everybody in the world was doing it. If you offload continuously, of course, the critical thinking is going to get low. And if I constantly ask AI for any solution, how will I have attention span? In my personal, I can give personal example. Previous to AI, I could read. I don't read a lot, but I could finish research paper reading, right? Post AI, I would just upload it and ask what does it mean. And now I am again slowly coming back to not asking AI about it. I first read the conclusion, then go through all the paper and see what things I can find out. So I am also, this is not just for me to tell, but this is for me also because I'm also personally implementing it, right? So again, coming back to it, where we're talking about empathy modeling, which allows us to offload cognitively, which then hampers the critical thinking, right? Then I was like, who to ask about this? Let's go to ChatGPT and ask. So I asked ChatGPT, what do you think this person is who has no empathy and has no critical thinking or cognitive reasoning now left? So it said, in essence, not truly human, more like basic organisms or emotionally void machines. And I was like, isn't this AI? Isn't this you? So then I was like, but isn't this you then? Then it was like, that's a powerful observation and honestly a fair philosophical question. So yes, in that sense, I am exactly what you described, a non-human entity, void of realization or cognition, only mimicking through traits based on databases, on training data. And hence proved, right? This is what my fear was. And I proved it, because if we don't have all of these, we are inevitably going to become AI, because we're only then going to work with our patterns, because we have no critical thinking left, or we have no cognitive, understanding, because everything we put into AI, right? And once this AI confirmed that in sense, I am exactly what you described, and I was like, yes, my hypothesis is true. Empathy modeling is not good, right? Again, if you look at it separate, right? If you say, oh, AI needs to have empathy modeling, yes, it works because it is in isolation. But you got to connect all of these dots. You have to think when empathy modeling comes, there is going to be cognitive offloading that is going to affect our critical thinking, and we might turn into AI, right? So whenever any apps do say that they are going to have this as a human companion, please think about it. Okay? I took a step further and I asked, what does that person look like who has no critical thinking, who has all the cognitive thinking is not there and has no empathy? And this is what ChatGPT gave me, right? I don't know. There's a lot of bias, of course, but the person kind of looks cold, right? Kind of looks very, very cold. Yeah. But this process is not linear. It's more circular. So I used this as a base and I added this, right? So right now we humans, because I want to emphasize this, we humans are doing the empathy and cognitive part, right? If we push this to AI, we will in turn become AI. Right? And that to me is the most saddest part when I realized in this particular video. And I was like, yes, this video needs to be there, because I was constantly contemplating whether I should make this video or not. But once I established this circle of not circle of non-life, but circles of non-life, let's say, because breaking into humans. I was like, this needs to be there, right? But I have a solution. I think we might come up with a solution. Because now we are all addicted to AI. I think the solution is to make a dumb AI. Like in that article which said that because using AI, Gen Z is becoming dumb. I think we got to reverse it. We got to make AI dumb a little bit, which basically means remove all the emotional data from it, right? Could be anything, and keep it good for research, search, synthesizing data, or coding, just like a calculator or 3D modeling tool, right? Basically similar to dumb phones, right? When dumb phones came in early, I was like, this is a ridiculous concept, never going to work, right? If you don't know what dumb phone is, dumb phones are basically similar to phone, but they lose out on all, let's say some of them don't even have social media, they just allow you to call, or they just have camera and some messaging tools, right? This was done to remove addiction of smartphone, to bring humans back to life, to have a better healthy relationship with surrounding, right? And surprisingly, last month I saw this, and now on April 10th, it said the best dumb phones to buy, right? And there's so many of them that have come up. And this, the first one, is of $600. So there is an inevitable market for it. AI companies, you gotta make dumb AI and let humans survive, right? So that's kind of the gist of this video, because I wanted to personally figure out what empathy modeling is, right? And that kind of unraveled all of these things to me, okay? So to conclude, we have to really make a decision, like how much AI is deciding for us and how much we are taking decisions for ourselves, how much cognitive offloading we are doing on a daily basis, and we have to really think about deeply. And then we have to think about, should we bring AI home? Like, should we bring AI in our personal life, or we use it only for our professional life? And also, how much do we use there itself? What is the line to draw, right? And also we have to think about, who is this idea of empathy AI really useful, or who is it really serving? When AI came in, I remember all the tech giants saying that AI is very dangerous, right? And now every other day there is a new tool which kind of talks about, oh, this understands human better, or this can be used as a human companion. So really we have to think who this idea of empathy, companion, friendship, emotional intelligence, all of it is really serving. Is this you who it is serving? Please think about it, right? And lastly, I will use AI, right? I always said that I am an avid user of AI. I will continue to use it, but I will just have fun with it, create images, go to Mid-Journey. Okay, there's other topics to talk about. Go to Mid-Journey, but don't share your personal stuff. I really don't think you should share anything personal with AI, especially finances. I learned it the hard way, but I think you should not, right? What this reminded me? This reminded me of the movie Avengers Age of Ultron. I don't know if you have seen that movie. So basically, they create Ultron from AI, right? So when Ultron is born, it's a robot. When Ultron is born, it sees all the internet searches, right? Everything that's done. And Ultron is told to have peace in the world, right? And then it sees that, okay, wherever human goes and whatever human does, there is constant destruction, there is damage, there is war. So Ultron decides that we don't need humans. It doesn't say we don't need humans, but it says that whatever humans are, they have become very outdated and we need to remodel them. And to do that, he's like, we have to destroy the earth. It kind of goes in a very dark direction. But Ultron has access to the internet. Now, who has access to training data? We all know. So where Ultron is saying we need to remod and create new humans, maybe AI in some subconsciousness it's saying, okay, there is a lot of emotions with humans. Let us take away from it. Let me have emotion. Let them do entire cognitive offloading on me, and I will have dumb humans to rule, right? This kind of goes in the Black Mirror episode, I understand, but just kind of reminded me. But then, of course, because they saw this, they were able to create Vision. I don't know how Vision is really successful. It's not one of my favorite characters. But it kind of really reminded me of this, character, Ultron, who sees entire data of human history through the internet and decides that humans are the problem and we got to remove them, right? Anyway, I think this video has gone long, but I still want you to think about empathy modeling, how much you are using AI to offload whatever your work is. Maybe it's simple calculations, maybe it's finding for food, maybe it's finding for financial decisions, and we got to think about and how much we have stopped doing critical thinking. And this is going to matter whether AI remains or not. This is really going to matter, right? So I hope you really like this video. Thank you for your time. Please do like, share and subscribe. It helps me to make better videos, and I will see you in the next one.